If you haven't done the Echo DKs yet, or you're struggling to kill them, I just wanted to show you the easiest way to do it. First off, you're going to need to kill the normal DKs to get an Echo Orb in order to go in and kill the boss, and anytime you have it in your inventory and you click on the ladder, it's going to ask you if you want to fight the Echo version. Now these bosses are much easier with Mage or Range, especially if you have T6 range, but they can be done with melee. And if you are using range, Ruby Bolts E are very good here, because unlike the regular version, they share a health pool, so any damage that you do to one does damage to them all. Now if you have the Clue Compass Relic, this clue that says a ring of water surrounded by 4 powerful rings will teleport you straight to the DK ladder. And it's an elite clue, but it's well worth farming to make this so much easier, because dying and running back to the DKs is not going to be fun at all. So once you're there, head down the ladder, press 1 to fight the Echo version, and then immediately protect from magic. Now if you've never prayer flicked before, this is actually a great way to learn, because unlike most bosses where you have to do it, they're always in the same order. It's always Dagannoth Prime, who's the mage that attacks you first, then Supreme, who's the ranger that attacks you second, and then Rex, that's the melee one, that attacks you third, and then there's 1 tick delay. So I did this kill just so it's easier to see the mage, the one that attacks you first in the cycle. And all you're going to do is you start out protecting from magic, and as soon as you see the boss move, you're then going to switch prayers to protection from range, then melee, and then back to magic. And this is the same throughout the fight. The mage moves, you protect range, melee, magic. Moves, range, melee, magic. It moves, range, melee, magic. And it's just a great way to learn on how to get the timing between 1 tick and old school. And you don't have to be perfect. If you're slightly fast or you're slightly slow, as long as you're doing it within a 0.6 second window, it's fine anyway. And every time you're waiting for the mage to move, you're resetting the timing anyway, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's quite a lot in reaction time. So the next mechanic is that one of them won't be protecting from anything, whereas the other 2 will be protected from every different combat style. And even if you have the T6 range relic, you really want to attack the one that's not prying, or you'll only do 60% damage. And the one that's not protecting will change every so often when this happens. The room shakes, shadows appear on the ground, and you have to move. But don't worry, this also goes in with a cycle, it's just 1 extra step. So the room shakes just as the major attacks. But don't panic, there's going to be an area of effect that lands where you're stood and puts poison on the ground, but not until 1 tick after all of the Dagannoth Kings have attacked you again, giving you just enough time to pray against them and then move. And then within a tick, the major attacks. To change your prayers again to range, then melee, then back to magic, and now you have 1 tick spare, and this is where you move 2 tiles away like so. Click on the one that doesn't have protection prayers, wait for the mage to move, and you're back in cycle. Now where this gets difficult, where most people are going to die, is the end of the fight. And the bit I've not seen in other guides, which is why I want to do this, because it's difficult to learn but very simple in principle. This will help you having to die a bunch of times if you're not used to prayer flicking before you figure this out. So in the final phase, every cycle is going to be the room shake and the poison hitting on the ground. Obviously I've not said so far you don't stand in poison, but that goes without saying. So now the cycle that you want to do is exactly the same, just with 1 more step. You protect from magic as normal, wait for the mage to attack, and you protect from range, then melee, then mage, then move. The mage attacks, you protect from range, melee, mage, then move. Range, melee, mage, then move. And it's the same cycle throughout that end part, only the room's going to fill up with poison, which is why melee is very difficult to do in this fight. Although thankfully you can kill anyone in the final phase, as none of them are protected, so if you find that there's a lot of poison where you are, you're just going to have to click on one in a different location and try and circle the boss as best as you can. But it just adds 1 extra element to the fight to make it more difficult. If you haven't picked your final relic yet, doing this with Last Stand makes it so much easier, essentially giving you a free life if you make a mistake, plus a window of about 10 seconds or so with immunity where you do a lot more damage, which is ideal for the last part of this fight. But once you get used to that rotation at the end, where you essentially go through the prayers, move, go through the prayers, move, and so on, eventually it just becomes second nature. If you stand in poison in the final part, you're literally going to be moving in 4 ticks anyway. It's only going to do about 20 to 30 damage. You're much more likely to die trying to panic when there's poison under your feet than simply tanking 1 anyway. So I'd just ignore it on the final phase and concentrate on your prayer switches, otherwise you can take a lot of damage from the bosses. And it might be a weird thing to say, but if you think you're going to struggle with the timing, just hover your mouse over this video in the different areas and move it in the same time that I'm moving it in the video, and it'll just get your brain used to that timing, that repetitive timing of doing the same thing again and again.